Welcome everybody to the post-game show for the Enforcers versus Plague Battle Report. This was the Warpath Firefight game. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check that out right now. But let's just dive into it. This will be a pretty relaxed video. Like I said at the end of the last one, Tim had to go, as did the whole store. The whole store closed, so we had to kind of end things a little bit abruptly, right when they were getting really, really juicy with the breakthrough mission. But I think ultimately, the game was a really great success. I was really pleased with the apparent balance of the two beta teams. I mean, we tried a pretty good amount of different units, and let me get the elephant in the room. We messed up. We messed up big time, especially, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who point out all the things we messed up, and I really do encourage that. I want to know what we did wrong, but I know for a fact that we messed up resilience. Resilience in Warpath proper, basically, you have to meet that number. So if it's a Plague Stage 1, and he has a resilience of 5, you have to get all 5 dice to do damage to the guy. In Firefight, this is different. In Firefight, basically what happens is they're like wounds. So basically he can take 5 points of damage before he dies. And we were really wondering why Polaris cannons and things like that only had 1 die. And because while we were playing like this doesn't make any sense. Like, you have to roll 1 die, and sure, it has anti-tank, but you know, you roll it and then hopefully you roll 5 5s or 6s in a row. Like, that's ridiculous. So we were definitely confused, but we didn't know to treat resilience like wounds, which makes complete sense, and I apologize for that messing up. However, I don't think it affects the game in a horrible manner. I think we still played all the normal infantry guys, right, because they die with 1 wound. But really where this came into play was vehicle on vehicle stuff. Our striders were completely worthless, not only because they couldn't hit the dang thing, but also because they really didn't have that that rule behind them. We didn't know that you can constantly damage vehicles and then get them blown up, because in Warpath proper, that's not the case. In terms of rule tweaking, I think that could be a little clearer in the book. I only gave it a quick read because I noticed that it was basically the same rule set as Warpath proper, but obviously I missed something big. There's like a little paragraph that says that size or multiple resilience guys can take damage, and then it specifies like which ones take damage before the next, but it wasn't really clear that resilience is different, because the resilience, like under the resilience part in the book, is the same wording as far as I can tell between the 2 different rule sets. Basically, they both just say that this is the amount of damage that a unit can take before they are, you know, killed or incapacitated, or I forget how it's worded, but it's like that. Other things we seem to pick up, I feel like bringing tons and tons of command dice is definitely the way to go, because they are super influential on your entire game. My B&E team, the Bunker Busters, they were awesome. I mean, they were my MVP, and it's probably because I activated them more times than they should have. That was great, and I think that kind of sets up a weird field, because if you bring tons and tons of, you know, small lieutenants and stuff, and you have something like 10 command dice, and then you get some of them back, there's really not much stopping you, especially as like a Plague player, from just constantly moving all the time. I don't know if this needs to be tweaked, or if that kind of comes with the balance of the points. This is our first game, so I can only speak for what I saw in this game, but, you know, that's just something to think about. Another really big thing that I thought was kind of dumb was the burst lasers. I mentioned it in the video, but I don't think they work the way they should. I think that they should basically be like what the Plague had with the HMG. It makes no sense to me that the super efficient, super expensive burst laser for the Enforcers is worse than the crappy machine gun that pumps out lead and probably gets jammed of the Plague. The fact that they don't have extra suppression doesn't make sense to me. So it definitely reflects their rules in Dead Zone, and I don't think making a weird gap like that makes any sense. Plus, they only get 2 dice, which I think is kind of low for something you're paying a lot of points for. Basically because if you put it on a Peacekeeper, I didn't see the point, because all you do is extend your range out like 12 inches, which really doesn't make that big of a difference, and it's definitely not worth the points. Not when you can put it towards some sort of leader that'll give you more command dice and things like that. So, big issue with the burst lasers. I don't think they did what they were supposed to. I also think that the heavy burst laser on both the Plague Strider and the Enforcer Strider didn't make a whole lot of sense because they don't have any suppression, and it's supposed to be like a weapon that just shells out so many lasers that your guys have to hit the deck. And I didn't think that it had that kind of impact, which I was really hoping it would. Overall, I thought the firefight rules worked pretty darn well. I thought they were pretty smooth. I thought that a lot of things made a lot of sense. Again, I'm still getting used to the whole snap into terrain kind of thing and what to call defensible and what not. I think it kind of gets a little confusing when you have like a little barrier, because it counts for cover, but it's not defensible, but your guys are all huddled against it, and I don't know exactly how that works. I think one of the biggest praises I can have for Warpath Firefight is that it was really fun. I had a good time with it. It felt balanced. It felt like he had his ups, I had my ups, he had his downs, I had my downs. The dice didn't quite cooperate with us the way we were hoping, obviously. There's a few back-to-back snake eyes in particular that was really bad. But there's nothing that the game can do about that. That's just us. Knowing what we know now with how Resilience was supposed to be played and how we played it, I think that the game would be drastically improved, and I think that there's a lot of things that would have been fixed by that, because there's a lot of confusion, a lot of things that we didn't do because we didn't see the point, and I think that'd be different. So I encourage everybody to play as many games of this as you can. It was really fun. We didn't try anything like super game breaking because it doesn't really make for a fun battle report to watch, especially if it is something broken, then no one would watch it. But I would be curious to see what more tanks or something like that would do, or lots of the breach and eradicate teams. It's the things that are really good that that could potentially be broken, I think need to be tested more. So to anybody watching this, I highly encourage you to check out all the rules for both Warpath proper, which just got a brand new update, which you need to check out because there's a lot of good changes in there. There's force organization and a whole lot of stuff that I still need to dive into, and hopefully I'll be doing a video series on that. If I tell you now, I'm more likely to do it, so keep your eye out for that. And basically, you need to go out and play these games. The way we're going to make a great war game that can go against 40k and go against Warm Hordes and all that stuff, all the things that are going to make this great is us as a community. I don't want to sound too soapboxy here, but we really do have a big impact on how the rules are made. Like, last game that we played, the GCPS versus Forge Fathers, we played a game, we found a lot of things that were wrong. It was kind of a crapshoot. You can watch it. I highly encourage you to watch it because it's still a good time. But all the game-breaking things that we found were then processed and then changed by Stuart especially, and I'm sure Matt will do the same for Firefight, but basically our community feedback will impact this game. For example, the force organization chart that is made for Warpath now, in the most recent download, was submitted by a regular Joe like us, like a guy who had a good idea for how to do things a little bit differently from other war games, and then when he did it, it was immediately good praise on how it was conducted, and now it's part of the rules, and now we can try more things like that. So if you have any great ideas, any cool mission ideas, things like that, put them out there. I mean, we're running out of time to say cool, awesome things that will make it into the game, and the more you can say and the more you can do towards that will make this game the best it can possibly be. The good news here is that they did push out the dates for rule adjustments and whatnot, so please play games, get your feedback in, put it on the forums, put it on Facebook. There's a ton of great groups. If you haven't seen them, please do. And I know I'm going to be trying to focus a little bit more on Warpath right now because that's what's going to have the most impact. Dead Zone seems to be at a really good point, but I want to make this game awesome because there's no better feeling than seeing a bunch of you guys in the universe you love on the team. You know, you just lay them out on a big 6x4 and just shoot the crap out of each other. I love it. It's like, it's one of the coolest things when you just get to roll a bunch of dice and see a bunch of things die and then make good decisions that affect the game. And I really encourage you guys, everybody, to go play these games and make them as great as we can make them, because we do have a voice, we do have an impact, and that's rare, very rare in our community. So I'm off my soapbox again. Sorry if I got a little preachy, but go play games, they're fun. Anyways, enough of me rambling. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and keep rolling 8s, or 6s if you're playing Warpath, or 6s I guess if you're playing Dreadball. But we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for tuning in.